Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Benita Johnson.
Hello and welcome to Books and Bottles. I'm your host, Benita Johnson. We're so excited to be back. We took a little break during the holidays. So for those we haven't spoken with or seen, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023 edition of Books and Bottles. So this is our show where we introduce you to your favorite author and we pair it with your favorite wine or spirit. We're so excited today because we're kind of using today as a reintroduction to the show. Every now and then we all need a redo and kind of a relaunch. And so that's what we're doing today. So before we bring on our special guest, we want to invite you to share. If this is your first time, you're in for a treat. We have a remarkable second half of our third season lined up for you with some authors, some first time. We got some folks coming back, such as Denny Bryce, best-selling author Sadiqa Johnson. We also are introducing you to some wine folks that we haven't had on the show for the first time. And so tonight is going to be one of those people. If you've been with us before, we appreciate you for being supporters of Books and Bottles. But all of you, we invite you to share. So thank you so much. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to a person you've seen on here before. He is internet famous because he's a part of Live from the Cave. He is the owner of 220 Publishing and one of the brain trusts behind Books and Bottles. I want to bring on my friend Glenn Murray.
Well, hello. I don't know how I ended up on this show.
Glenn, come on, Glenn. Come on, Glenn. Hey.
Hey. I don't know how I ended up on this. I am great. How are you?
Good. So I want to say I haven't seen you forever, but truth is we saw each other a couple days ago, but we'll talk about that on another episode.
Yes, that was fun though. I was happy to be in Virginia Beach starting my second career, my post-retirement from publishing and writing. So
you can't retire from publishing and writing because this is what this whole show is about. If you retire, who's going to be my boss?
You got plenty of bosses. Roger and Keisha,
Rod. Don't say Rod.
He's real bossy. You know that, right?
He is. So thank you for being on the show. So we're using this show since we've taken a long break during the holiday, kind of extended, to kind of reintroduce Books and Bottles and to talk about how we got started. This is kind of the midpoint of season 3. So how did we get started?
So we got started. I think we got started separately because I think you were doing bottles and books.
Yes.
And I was
wine is my first love. I drink wine and read books.
Right. See, I start with the books, but I finish with a big bottle. So I brought props. Yes, I brought props with me. No, Books and Bottles was something that I was doing a few years before we even did the show, before we ever met Raj with Indy. I was doing Books and Bottles featuring some of the authors from 220 Publishing. So we did Books and Bottles around Chicago. We took it to Indianapolis and a few other places. We did Books and Bottles, Atlanta as well. So we thought it was great, kind of mixing the authors with wine tastings, and it went over really, really well. And I thought this would be a great show. But it's only a great show because we need a great host to make it great. And that's where you came in.
You say all the right things. So, when I started doing bottles and books, Richmond, because I had my wine club. The Vine Wine Club is my company. And so I was bringing folks in and, my members plus some other folks to drink wine, but we were bringing in authors. And so we had a host, and this person's been on the show, Miss Rita Ricks. She's been on our show before, and Rita. We had Rita come in and interview authors and such. And so I was honored when you asked me to do this show because I am an avid reader. I read almost as much as I drink wine.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I do read, and at this with this juncture, it's just adding to what I read and being very selective about what I read.
Yeah, so we've had some great shows. We're in season 3 right now.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What's been some of your favorite shows? I have some personal favorites, and not that any of them were bad. We liked all the shows, but what's been your personal favorite as the interviewer? Either it was the book that moved you, it was the interview that moved you, or a little bit of both. Which one would you say? And it could be more than one.
I'm gonna give a show secret, right? So I read the books, but some of the books, when I come on the show, I was like, really, I don't want to have this conversation because the book didn't necessarily resonate with me. But there has not been a time that I have, by the end of the show, I didn't understand the purpose of me being in this space at this time. So the opportunity to connect with these people has always been purposeful. So some of my favorites, everybody knows Bishop Oles. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you see this gentleman. He's an avid skater. And he's amazing on those skates. I can't do that ever. And so, but his story definitely hit home with so many people. He was so raw and honest about his drug addiction. And, he was just so candid. And, that was probably one of the first shows that we went well over our 30-minute, allotted time for the show because it was so engaging. Yeah. I loved the conversation that we had with best-selling author and award winner, Sadiqa Johnson of Yellow Wine. Yes. Because I met Sadiqa. She lives in Richmond, my hometown. And we met at a women's luncheon, and she was looking for a space to host writers' classes. And I had a space, and I was like, okay, you can have my space. And so this was probably 3 or 4 years before Yellow Wife. And so, of course, when Yellow Wife came out, I was like, I got her personal cell number. I'm reaching out to this lady. She's going to be on our show. So that was fun. But we've had a lot. Me and Michelle, I remember, reading her book. We had her on the show twice. And she really helped me be a better interviewer because I remember the first show. I mean, her book was maybe, 700 pages. That girl writes a lot of words. And so with the interview, she didn't talk much. And I remember the first time I asked a question that she kind of gave a 3-word answer. I'm saying in my mind, I'm like, girl, all them words you wrote in that book, you better say a whole lot of words in this interview. And so it just helped me learn how to develop questions better to carry the conversation. We've had Mary B. Morrison. Everybody knows.
That was my favorite. And we know Mary, so she's such a sweet person.
Yes.
But then you hear Mary talk about what she writes and you read her books and you were like, you're like, that's how you are when you see Mary and then you read what she writes and you're like, oh my God.
Exactly. And then our first one was Cinda Williams. Yes, everybody knows her for Mo Better Blues. And so, seeing her going from Clark, that we know her as Clark in the movie, and then, she's Cinda Williams on what's the name of the book? The Pink
Panty Confessions, yes.
Yeah, Pink Panty Confessions. And so, so we've had some tremendous folks on here. Brian Broom, I remember him. He wrote, and that was his first book. And that book has won tons of awards. And you know what? We were his first interview.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, so we've done some good stuff.
That's great. No, I'm proud of the work we've done. And we couldn't do it without our super producers, Roger and Keisha. They abuse me on the Man Cave, but they're actually nicer to me on this show. So it's good. Although they gave me this backdrop, as you can see, I don't have nothing back here. Like I'm in the corner.
They working on us. We're gonna get better. We're gonna get back in the studio. I know NDTV has some challenges during the cold weather, so we're gonna get back in the studio, and we're gonna have some really dope backdrops.
Yeah, but you missed one of your favorites, your book, of course.
Oh, yeah. Faith, Faith, Success, Volume 3. That was good because it was us, my co-authors, for our best-selling
#1.
So that was really cool. So let me ask you a little bit about the publishing industry, because there are so many people out here who want to write books. How did you get into publishing?
I tripped into it, honestly, but I've always been an avid reader. My mother was an avid reader. I read so many books of hers that I wasn't supposed to read when I was a kid. So there's a lot of useless knowledge in my brain, and some stuff I put to use too. But we won't talk about. That's a whole nother story. That's the man cave story. No, I got into publishing. I was working with Yanni Brown.
We had Yanni on the show.
Yeah, so Yanni was my first author. Many, many years ago in Chicago. This was probably 12, 14 years ago. And Yanni was doing speaking and doing all her couples thing and all the things she does wonderfully. And she's still doing them in Raleigh. What's up, Yanni? She was like, what else can I do to kind of expand my brand? And I was like, you should write a book. I'm like, that kind of positions you as an expert. And she's like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. And I wasn't really thinking about publishing her. I was just giving her the advice and going on about my business. And then I decided I wanted to publish. And I remember she was the first person I had talked about doing that. And I was like, okay, so I don't know what I'm doing, Yanni. Let me just put it on the table. I don't exactly know what I'm doing, but if you trust me, I'll work hard for you. And that's literally how it started. And
wow.
Yep. So, fast forward to like 50 some books later, 220 Publishing has done a good job. I can look back and be proud of
what done an amazing job. You have a whole lot of successes, in terms of sales and notoriety for your books. So how do you, when a person comes to you and they say, Mr. Murray, I'd like for you to consider publishing my book, what are you looking for?
I tell them, go somewhere now. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Get the hell out. But before I would tell them that, I would ask them, okay, why are you writing? What are you writing for? Because a lot of people write for a few different reasons. Sometimes you write because you're just trying to check a box off. It's on your bucket list to be an author. And I think that's wonderful, but I have to look at it as a business. So I don't need bucket listers. I need somebody that actually wants this book to go as far as it can go and is willing to work hard to get it there. So what's your reason for it? If you have a passion for writing, you've always wanted to write, you have a story to tell, those are the things I want to hear. And a lot of people say that, but then I need to see if they can truly write. So a lot of times we look for first 3 chapters and a synopsis of the book. So if you think about it, you remember in school when you used to have to do the book report? You had to go in front of the class and do a book report. That's what I
plagiarized.
Okay, Benita. Anyway, children, if you're watching this and you're younger, you shouldn't plagiarize this. It's not good. It's not good. But I asked for a book report. I want to know the beginning. I want to know if you know the story that you're about to tell me. So I make you give me the book report. Tell me from beginning to end in 1 page what your book is about. So that tells me if you have a story. And then the first 3 chapters tells me if you can write. Because if you're not pulling me in, it's kind of like music and a song. And I was working in the studio one time and we took some music to an A&R rep. And he was like, if your song doesn't catch me in like the first 30 seconds, I'm taking it and I'm cutting it off.
Yeah.
It needs to catch me then. Because if I'm listening to it on the radio, you don't have that much time to get my attention and keep.
That's true. I mean, because, as a person who, I eat books. Yeah. I'm reading these books, and sometimes they are really, really challenging to get into. And, I don't have a lot of time. So, you got to catch me, as you said, within those first 3 chapters, and you're probably a little bit more generous than me. So.
Well, the first chapter tries to set it up. And if you're a new author, you can work with an author that is trying to build the story. But those first 3 chapters will tell me if you can write or not. And I wish to this day now, I wish I would make people do that in an audiobook version. Because if you think about an audiobook, when you're listening, you get pulled in quick on the audiobooks.
Yeah.
And if it's good, it captures you. So if people would do that, that actually may capture a lot more people if you think about it.
So when you start your audiobook division for 220 Publishing.
I'm retiring. I am retiring.
I want to work on my voice because I want to be an audiobook author.
Well, you know you have a voice actor.
I want to be a voice actor.
I know. You know, Roger sounds like a junior James Earl Jones. You just
he does.
He like James Earl Jones, illegitimate son or something. But
yeah, he sounds like so much better than what he really is. But we're not going to go there. But we have the
I like this show. He can't kick us out. I like this because he can't kick you out the show. You're the host.
He can't do nothing because we're like
in the man cave. I would have been out of the show 3 times.
Yeah, he'll be mad later, but whatever. He'll get over it. But this book is the show is all about the books and the bottles. So today we have a guest with us, and she's a first timer. Miss Nicole Anderson is with us from Atlanta, and we're going to talk about her wine. Hello, Nicole.
Hello, you guys. Happy Wine Wednesday.
Yay!
Happy Wine Wednesday.
So even though when this airs, it's going to be Sunday, but it's still Wine Sunday, Wednesday. All the days is wine day. All the days.
I come up with something for every day. I'm like, it's Sipping Saturday. It's always something.
It's Sip on Sunday.
I drink wine on all the DAY days. So
exactly.
So I'm so happy that you're here. So tell us about her wine. Tell us, first of all, tell me how you decided that this is what you want to do. You want to be a wino.
You know, that's actually a really great story. So I actually started out by making wine myself.
Okay.
I am an avid lover of wine, and yet I never really thought about making my own wine. It wasn't until I'd say around 2018 I decided to just dabble into it. I was getting bored with wine. I was in this weird space in my life. I was going through a divorce. I was getting a promotion, like my dream job promotion at the same time. So there was like a lot of highs and a lot of lows going on at once. And wine is something that I absolutely love, even going back to college. So when I could first start drinking, like everybody else was taking shots of vodka and tequila. And I was like, where's the wine coolers? Like that was always my thing. So I've always had a love for wine, but when I got to this phase in my life in 2018, I was looking for something different. And I remember going to the store, my favorite wine store, and I was like, everything is the same. And this was in the phase where it was like Moscato everything, right? Moscato was this huge wave, and it was red Moscato, pink Moscato, Zinfandels here, and everything, right? And it was a lot, but I was bored with it. So I got on YouTube. And I was like, how do you make wine at home? And it just took me on this rabbit hole journey of creating my own blends, my own concoctions, as I like to call them. And I started just playing around with flavors. And fast forward to 2020, I was able to figure out how to secure a mass production. So there's a winery in Texas that actually produces my wine now. They were, after so many closed doors, they finally found the one that said, yes, we'll make your wine your way. Because I think that was a big thing for me. I wanted my wine my way. I wanted higher alcohol content wine. I wanted semi-sweet wine. I wanted flavored wine. And I got hit with a lot of like, you want flavored wine? You want sweet wine? We don't do that. So finally finding a partner to help me produce that, and it's been amazing ever since.
And you know, that's a different balance, because like we know in the winemaking process, the sugar turns to alcohol. So typically when you have a higher alcohol, it's not as sweet. Yeah. So like when you mentioned Moscatos range from like 5 to 7% generally.
Right.
You know, so they're low alcohol, but you get the taste that folks like. So that's definitely a delicate balance. And it's so funny that, you kind of talked about, you went on YouTube Girl, when I was in wine, I didn't want no YouTube. We didn't have no YouTube when I first started in wine. I think we were running on them 386 computers, right? We had dial-up internet. So when you talk about looking for wine, so I was thinking when I first started, me and my friends were wine drinkers. And you don't know nothing about this, Nicole, but we were drinking Reuniti peach and raspberry. You're like back in 1988, you know.
Oh.
So yes, so we were looking for our sweet wines, and when I got married, we were balling on a budget, girl. We had white Zinfandel coming out the fountain. You couldn't tell us nothing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's the trend, right? Like we as our community, we tend to prefer, sweeter beverages, sweeter spirits. And I didn't want to have to drink a whole bottle to get what I was trying to feel when I opened up my glass and I poured my glass, because I did the whole Stella Rosa thing, and I was like, man, you feel kind of guilty after a while when you drink the whole bottle. It's like, did I go through all that?
Yeah, because all you're doing is running up your A1C.
Yeah.
You hold a bottle of Stella Rosa and your blood pressure goes up. You don't even have to drink it.
Your A1C, that's it.
And it goes.
So tell us, you said you have different flavors, and but you maintain the alcohol integrity. So what types of wines do you have?
Yes, so I have 6 different wines in the collection, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that her wine is actually it's actually an acronym. So HER stands for having evolved repeatedly. And the idea there is that we are constantly on this quest to become better versions of ourselves, better parents, better entrepreneurs, business owners, just better people in general. And oftentimes in that journey, we get kind of tunnel vision on that goal, and we don't necessarily appreciate the process and those moments in between that goal. And that's what I wanted my wine to really represent. So each of the names of the wines actually denote those moments where we deserve to relax, to unwind, and to just be in the moment. And that's really what I wanted this wine to help people, to give them permission to have those moments to relax. So
I like that.
Thank you. Yes. So we have 6 wines, like I mentioned. We have In My Feelings, which is a peach apricot. That one's all about embracing our femininity, embracing our feelings, not feeling ashamed about expressing those emotions. Girls Night In, which is a mango wine. That one represents the community and the therapeutic moments that we have when we get our girls' nights. So I know y'all got your man caves, but we have our girls' nights in opposition.
That's okay. You can drink your Moscato while watching the man cave. It's okay.
I know, right? What they talking about while we're sipping? We have Finally After 5, which is paying homage to all of my working people out there. We work hard. That one is a peach Moscato. That one is a 15% peach Moscato at that. So definitely higher up. And then we have a red, a Merlot. Made in Oregon, actually, and this one's called Mama Needs a Break. And that
I like that.
Yeah. I'm not a mother yet, but I'm surrounded by amazing women who are phenomenal mothers, and I had to do something for them because we would joke all the time about, they're raising this next generation. That's so much, I don't want to say pressure, but it's so much responsibility. And I think we need to really just highlight how much work goes into being a mom, being a parent in general, right? And we all deserve a break. So that's what that one is. And then our last 2, I just released these. I'm so excited. It's our new sparkling wine. To know me is to know how much I love mimosas. I think that's, if I could drink mimosas every day as a meal, that would be a thing. So I had to create a sparkling. So we have a bubbly Riesling and a bubbly rosé. They are both affectionately named A Toast to Me. And the idea behind that is I really wanted to reframe how we choose to celebrate. Oftentimes in life, we delay our happiness for these big moments. the big sale, the big deal, you know, oh, I just released this big book. Like, we wait for these big moments. And I think that we need to celebrate all the moments in between, you know.
Absolutely.
The fact that you finished this chapter, that's a big win. You need to
celebrate 4 o'clock. I get up at 3:30. 4 o'clock every day. Yeah, I'm celebrating.
Except she celebrates with dark liquor and not champagne.
Yes, bourbon is my preference, but you know, this is a wine show, so this is good too.
There you go.
I gotta commend you. So not only I haven't had your wine yet, but thank you. You're going to be a partner with Wine Crawl. You already set a record. I have never had more male people on my team want to reach out for sponsorship until I told them, hey, I want to talk to Her Wines. And they took one look at your Instagram. And my marketing manager and one of my event managers, they were about to take Eva's job. I know Eva was, I was like, can y'all let Eva reach out to her first? Well, no, we can talk to you. I'm like, oh my God. So you have set a record. You have inspired a team without even knowing it.
I love it. That makes me happy.
So I'm excited to have you on the show, and you know, we're running out of time because I do want to have another whole conversation with you about the 3-tier wine system and how you're finding the challenges of being in this wine industry. Wine is not an easy industry, and a lot of folks are jumping in and then they fall out because it is hard. So we're definitely going to have you back on the show because I want to talk to you about that. But I do want to thank you for being a part of Wine Crawl and choosing to be a sponsor. I too am a part of Wine Crawl, and you know, we need people like you, and prayerfully Wine Crawl allows you to get your brand out there. So where's your wine sold? How can people buy Her Wine?
So speaking of this 3-tier system, I am so excited because I just got distribution last year, July, with a Black-owned distributor here in Atlanta, Kelly Family Distributors. So we are officially in stores here in Atlanta. It's so amazing. We actually just got picked up by some major hotels and restaurants and bars here in the city. So I think I'm still on cloud 9. I don't think I stopped smiling since July. Like, I'm pretty sure I've had this smile since like the summer last year. But we are in stores, and you can find out where we are if you are in the Atlanta area by going to our website, herwines.com. So that's wines with an S. Yes.
I love it. So I'm going to be hitting you up because I expect you to be in Virginia in June for the exclusive Blacklist weekend. We'll talk about that later. And I can make sure you have your distribution in Virginia so you can be here. No worries. But I really appreciate you being on the show. I'm excited to buy your wine. I encourage our viewers to get your wine as well. But hang out because we're not finished beating up Glenn yet. So you hang out with me.
Uh-oh. Save me, Nicole.
So Glenn, how many folks? I mean, I think you said 50 or so books you've put out.
Yes, we published 50 books now, and I'm proud to say probably 90% of those were first-time authors.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the best thing about the 12 God, we've been doing it now 13 years. In the 13 years, we've managed to release those books. It's just been great to help people tell their story, to have somebody hold their book in their hand for the first time, their very first book. And you know the feeling, Benita, you did it.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling of, okay, I really accomplished something. And you talk about opening a bottle, Nicole, that's a reason to celebrate. And I tell people that you need to celebrate it. Yes, there's a lot of work to getting it out there and promoting it. But there's work in everything you do, but you have to celebrate those wins. You have to take that time to smell those roses, to pop those bottles, to do whatever you need to do. And however you celebrate, you need to celebrate you. So I'm very proud to have been able to give people that opportunity.
So, and then just real quick, because we got to go, I do want to know what difference would you say is in self-publishing versus coming to 220?
So self-publishing is pretty much you're out there doing it all on your own. So think about trying to build a car and you got all the parts and you're trying to put the parts together. Coming to 220, we already have the car built. We know what it takes to put the engine in, get it started, get the wheels on and get it rolling. We help you do that. So we have the car built to get you where you need to go. That's the difference. And even though we can't do as much traditional publishing now as before, we still have a private label service that helps you get all of that done and gives you a great finished product that you can work with. So that part we're still doing, even though I call myself retired. I'm retired. The rest of the team is still working.
Okay. The company ain't going nowhere. Just you
I know.
have retired, but you still the chief, right?
Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
Yes, because we got stories to tell. So we appreciate you for giving first-time authors an opportunity, because many publishing companies don't do that. So what you're doing, you're helping folks live out their dreams and see their success. So we appreciate you. So thank you so much. So how do people find you, Glenn? I know we got your wine crawl email or your site up there, but there are authors out here who want to hit you up.
Yes. 220books.com, 220books.com.
Thank you so much for being on our show. You're an amazing guest, very impromptu, and I can call on you anytime. Thank you, Nicole, for being here with Her Wines, and we want people to hit you up and buy your wine. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in with us today as we come back from our holiday break. If there are authors out there who'd like to be a part of Books and Bottles, please hit us up at info@grod.com. Email us and tell us your book, and we'll get you on the show. So thank you again for tuning in. We invite you to share. Please share. If you again, if you want to be on the show, email us and we'll definitely get you on here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.